What up, what up? Welcome to Slurp for some cash game cornerstones. I'm Steve, and I'll be giving you my best cash game plays for tonight's slate on this Friday, July 1st. Welcome to July. So let's start off at catcher here. I really like Cameron Rupp today. I figure Ian Kennedy will be popular, so if you're playing him in cash, I don't hate it. But I don't love it because I think he's kind of vulnerable to some of the Phillies, particularly Rupp, Franco, and the lefties. And Rupp is 3.1 on DK, so nice and cheap there. 3.3 on FanDuel. There's kind of something interesting going on with FanDuel pricing. They're getting a lot tighter, and we're seeing a lot of guys more expensive on FanDuel, which has a lower cap total than DK. I'm not exactly sure how to take this just yet. Proceed with caution, I guess. But I guess it makes guys who are cheaper on FanDuel, much cheaper that is, an even better value. So on FanDuel and on DK, I like him too. We got Josh Phegley. He gets Locke, who is just terrible. 3.2 on DK and 2.9 on FanDuel. Very friendly prices on both sites. You could save some over Rupp on FanDuel, or if you're going to be playing Kennedy as one of your pitchers. It's a big slate, so I'm not sure how chalky anything will be, but if anything stands to be chalky, it's probably the Red Sox, especially on FanDuel. They haven't been doing well too lately, so maybe some people will be off them, but they have the highest Vegas total by a good bit at 6 runs. And FanDuel, they're just too cheap. I mean, David Ortiz, and they're going up against Chacin, who just is not good as much as I want him to be. Ortiz is 5.5 on DK, which is not unreasonable for a guy of his talent performing the way he has in this matchup. But he's 4.3 on FanDuel, which is just a really nice price there. I also like Hosmer going up against Hellickson. Hellickson has some good strikeout stuff, but he really struggles with lefties. So I like the Royals lefties today. Hosmer is 4.3 on DK and 3.4 on FanDuel. So you can save a little bit over Ortiz on both sides that way. So it was kind of mediocre last night, but I'm going back to the well with Marlins against Atlanta. Julio Teheran has been very good this season, and I think he's due for a little bit of regression based on his underlying numbers, especially against lefties. His strikeout percent versus lefties is much, much lower, only like 16, 17%. His batting average and balls in play is like under 200. It's really due for some regression. And he's given up like 37% hard contact to lefties. So that being said, I got no problem with Derek Dietrich, especially if he's leading off. 3.0 on DK, 2.5 on FanDuel. Great bargain there with a lot of upside, I think. But then I mentioned also the Red Sox. We got Pedroia against Chacin. He's one of the cheaper pieces on DK at 4.9. And also on FanDuel at 3.8, I guess, although not that much than some of the other guys. We also got one guy who's just really cheap, almost seems like a mistake on FanDuel. Brian Dozier against Martin Perez. He's 4.9 on DK. I'd probably go with Pedroia at that price on DK, but he's 3.1 on FanDuel, which is just kind of silly, honestly. It's a great matchup for him. The Dodgers today get to face Jorge De La Rosa at home in their stadium. And De La Rosa is puzzlingly much worse away from Coors than he is in Coors. I don't know what's going on there. But I like some of the Dodgers and their pricing, especially Justin Turner. Guy's just been on fire. 3.8 on DK, 3.7 on FanDuel. Decent price for him there. I also like Danny Valencia. I already mentioned John Locke is pretty terrible. And he's 4.1 on DK and 3.8 on FanDuel, so right there in that same kind of range. Then I got two guys that, FanDuel pricing's gotten kind of tight, so these are guys that just stand out as too cheap on FanDuel to me, and that's Trevor Plouffe against Perez. Minnesota in general, or at least these two guys are kind of priced down there. He's 2.7 on FanDuel. He's 3.9 on DK. Not as interested. I think I'd rather have Turner for a little less or Valencia for a little more. And then we got Jake Lamb against Cueto, which, is not the bestest of matchups, but it's not the worst either. Lamb matches up pretty well with Cueto as far as guys go, and he's just really good player. I'm a fan of Lamb. He's 5.1 on DK, so I'm not really interested there, but he's 3.3 on FanDuel, so I definitely have some interest there. Shortstop is pretty crappy on both sites, to be honest, but a couple of guys that I like. Brandon Crawford, who I liked yesterday, and I didn't play, and then he had a really big game. Goes up against Shelby Miller, playing this game out in the desert, so that's a big help for everyone hitting. Miller has just been absolutely terrible this season. I don't know that today is going to be the day that he turns it around. Crawford's 4.7 on DK, which is kind of brutal. He's 3.4 on FanDuel, though, which is a pretty nice price there. And then I mentioned Minnesota. I like Nunez also against Perez. And he's 4.7 on DK, so he's pricey there too. I don't know. It's kind of a coin flip between him and Crawford for me. I'm leaning Crawford at the moment. And he's 3.8 on FanDuel, so I think I'd take the discount and take Crawford there. Not much that I like in the way of punt shortstop. I'll try to figure one out before the expert chat later, see if some value opens up when we start getting lineups. This guy's just a lock for FanDuel cash, in my opinion, and that's Mookie Betts against Chacin at 3,900 on FanDuel. He's 53 on DK. I mean, you know, if you can fit him, there's nothing wrong with it, but he just seems like a bit of an expensive play there. We got Alex Gordon against Hellickson. He's been at the top of the order or leading off. If he's doing that, that's amazing. 3.1 on DK, 2.9 on FanDuel. I mentioned that Hellickson struggles with lefties. And then we got Cargo at just kind of ridiculous price on DK of 3.4 against Bud Norris, who's not bad at all, but excuse me. But he's playing his first game with a new team, new catcher, possible jet lag, just coming across from Atlanta, big expectations, filling in for Clayton Kershaw's start. Anyway, there's just a lot of things going on, and Cargo has taken many better pitchers than Bud Norris and made them look silly. So for 3.4, I think he's a pretty safe guy to put in your cash game lineups. 3.8 on FanDuel is a little rougher, but really not really for a guy of Cargo's talent. And then I mentioned my love for Marlins lefties against Tehran today, and that extends to Christian Yelich, whose price has dropped like a stone. 3.2 on DK, 3.3 on FanDuel. I kind of love Yelich in this matchup, to be honest. I'm kind of excited because I don't think many people will take on Tehran at all. And then going back to picking on Kennedy a little bit, Cody Ashe is one of the lefty Phillies that I like. I don't mind Odubel Herrera either, but he's way more expensive. Ashe's only 2.8 on DK and 2.7 on FanDuel. The other guy that I would consider is Franco, but I don't necessarily love him in cash compared to the other options I mentioned. And then, but, you know, Ashley's not that much cheaper on FanDuel. So I got one guy that's a real bargain there that I think is kind of sneaky, and that's Jared Dyson against Hellickson. The combo of Hellickson and Rupp are slightly below average at holding guys on base. Jared Dyson's been stealing like crazy. He's got a 0.27 stolen base per game kind of thing. So I think that means in 27% of games he steals a base. I like his chances to get on base as a lefty facing against Hellickson, and I like his chances to steal a base a lot if he does get on base. 3.3 on DK. It's not my favorite price, especially when you got Yelich and all these other guys cheaper. But 2.2 on FanDuel is just absolutely fantastic. Make sure you come on by later. We will have the rundown published with all of our experts' thoughts on pitchers in cash and GPP and Max's top GPP stacks and some of my cash game plays all written up nice like for you. Some daily Dong Finder picks, and then at 4:30 Eastern today we got the expert chat, so make sure you come on by for that. Those are the best. We get some great discussions going, some great questions from the audience. We love answering your guys' questions, and we love hammering out some lineup decisions with you. So once again, this is Slurv. I am Steve. Hope you've enjoyed your cash game Cornerstones for today. Good luck tonight, guys. See you at the expert chat.